it's not really a plot, is it? Because a plot takes place in secret, whereas this is all taking place in the open. It's just people going on the radio and going on the telly and saying, hang on, this is what I think we should be more right-wing.
Yeah.
And also they had the plot, and then the plot didn't work because they didn't do quite badly enough. So that Rishi Sunak's had another chance, hasn't he, over the summer? I mean, he may regret that in the end. He may think, God, I wish I got out now.
We were told that the plot was over and they were going to leave Rishi Sunak alone, the plotters, after the weekend, despite him doing quite badly in the local elections. They thought it was not quite badly enough. But you've got Robert Jenrick out and about attacking the state of Britain's borders. You had Suella Braverman on the radio and the telly at the weekend. You've got Liz Truss laying out her own things on her online chat forums, whatever. Is this what not plotting looks like, Alice? Because it still looks quite a lot like plotting.
Very like plotting. And a lot of mixed metaphors, don't you think? I mean, even Michael Gove had a lot. We had Kate Moss and, nothing tastes as good as skinny fields, which I thought was a bit of a stretch for the Tory party.
I couldn't quite understand what point he was making there.
And then he went on and did a whole nother metaphor, didn't he? Which was kind of like...
About the orchestra.
Orchestras.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
thought none of you really know what you're saying anymore. That we just need to get a clear message now, don't we? Like...
Yeah, if it's a plot, it's not a very good one, is it?
So Michael Gove was saying he warned right-wing Tories against comfort eating by pursuing hardline policies that make us feel good about ourselves. So don't fill yourself up on right-wingery. It says, as Kate Moss once said, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
But what is the analogy there? What's the metaphor? Because what's skinny then?
Centrist...
So I think he thinks rubbish food is basically the right wing, isn't it? So it's basically rubbish policies that you're filling yourself up on.
That's the comfort eating. I get that, but then that isn't what Kate Moss was talking about.
No.
She wasn't talking about comfort eating. Her phrase was, which she's now distanced herself from, to be fair to her, because it seemed to be encouraging eating disorders.
Yeah,
was it's good to be skinny.
But don't you think Gove's just on a diet? I mean, that's the thing. He just can't think about anything apart from food at the moment.
Well, no, because he can think about orchestras. He's obviously...
Yes, and then he went on to say, the Tories risk drowning out the wonderful orchestra of their broad policy platform by focusing on right-wing measures. He was saying that just as the orchestra comes together, we need to make sure voters hear different parts of our message.
Right. And so what's the right wing, like the trombones or something?
No, but they're drowning out... No. The orchestra is the... broad platform of social justice.
But for the metaphor to work, you'd have to have a certain part of the orchestra that was drowning out the rest. That's why I went with trombones, because they're loud.
No, I think they're drowning out the whole orchestra. They're just making a lot of noise.
Or maybe percussion. I think it's percussion. I think they're doing...
Oh, to big cymbals.
Yeah.
Cymbals clashing.
So it's symbolism, political symbol.
Oh, yeah. Bassoons or something. I'm just trying to think of the big noisy ones. Tubas. They're huge.
But it is ridiculous when they have to go for this because they can't actually spell out what they want to say, which is the Tory party's over and we're all battling over who's going to be the next one to become party leader. It's quite instructive
because Michael Gove is one of the most articulate people I've ever met. He speaks in fantastically long but grammatically correct subclausal sentences like Charles Dickens, and yet he's not making any sense at all. So if Michael's lost his fluency, they're really in trouble.
He does have a habit of this at Cabinet. I remember... I got a story on the front page of the Times. Where he was accused of.
Did you win an award for it?
It doesn't need to be like that, isn't it?
Go on. Sorry.
This is in 2017. He was seen to be auditioning for the job of Chancellor, using, as it was told to me, lots of long economic-y words.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Not as bad as Ed Balls, though, was he? Do you remember Ed Balls' words? Didn't he have that ergonomic?
Endogenous.
Yeah, endogenous growth theory.
Oh, yeah.
You can't hardly say it.
Endogenous and exogenous growth theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he clearly knows, if he quotes Kate Moss in the Cabinet, he knows someone will tell Steve Swinford.
Yes.
But I'm not sure what the message... I don't know what the message is.
No, I think it's a very vivid phrase from Kate Moss.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was original from her. Maybe
No, it's a fridge magnet.
Oh,
I think she had it on her fridge and the interview saw it and then she said, oh, that's her flatmates and her had put it on. I mean, very innocuous, but it has, like, I won't get out of bed for 10,000 quid. It's the two phrases you know about models, don't you?
Yeah.
So anyway, Michael's levered that into his lecture to the Cabinet and got himself into the Times as a result. But he's right, of course. You win elections from the centre, don't you? As I'm sure your esteemed panel on how to win an election is telling you on a regular basis.
But also just by being united. It's like the single worst thing for the Tories, the fact they're constantly arguing amongst themselves. If you were inclined to listen to them, you wouldn't know where they stood on anything.
Yeah. So it's not really a plot, is it? Because a plot takes place in secret, whereas this is all taking place in the open. It's just people going on the radio and going on the telly and saying, hang on, this is what I think we should be more right-wing.
Yeah.
And also they had the plot, and then the plot didn't work because they didn't do quite badly enough. So that Rishi Sunak's had another chance, hasn't he, over the summer? I mean, he may regret that in the end. He may think, God, I wish I got out now.
It is funny, though, that the only people who seem to be worse at politics than Rishi Sunak are the people plotting to remove Rishi Sunak. Yes. For months they've been saying, oh, it's going to be the budget. Oh, it's going to be the reshuffle. Oh, it's going to be party conference. Oh, it's going to be the local elections. That's the moment.
To be fair, Jenrick might have a point about the Home Office.
I think he does. I think that's a really good idea.
I think the Home Office is a bit sort of dysfunctional, isn't it? From everything I hear about it, as opposed to the rest of the civil service, it's us that do seem.
Well, they should always have split off immigration, and they had the same problem with prisons. When prisons was a massive issue, they then tried to split that. That you can't have everything in one department. And Theresa May was the last person who managed to actually effectively cope with it, but she was all over it, and that took her 6 or 7 years to get on top of it. I don't think even then she managed it. So I think it's much better if we just split the two in half.
But the key hole in his argument that he thinks we should break up the Home Office and be tough and all of that, is far more people come to the UK legally than illegally. Everyone's talking about the small boats, but the pressures on public services or whatever it might be is people coming here legally under rules set by the government.
Over 500,000 people are coming as students, aren't they? So, you've got that.
And so it's not a problem with the Home Office. It's a problem that the government wants those people. From his perspective, it's a problem that the government want those people, and in part they want them to come. It helps slightly bump up GDP.
Yeah, it's a problem between the two sort of historic wings of the Conservative Party. Between people, the City of London wants immigration. Yeah, the free market wants immigration, and we need it. But then you've got a kind of more protectionist, Little England, if you like, Brexity Tory party, which is fairly prevalent at the moment, which says it doesn't want it. But then who's going to staff the NHS? Who's going to run the care homes? Who's going to serve you in Starbucks?
Well, actually, the problem is the benefit system. So that we've got all that as well. So you can never really talk about immigration without talking about benefit system and working out why we haven't got more British people actually going to work and wanting to work, and whether it's a mental health crisis or
and it's housing crisis as well, because the people where the jobs are. There's vacancies in London and the South East, but people can't afford to move from the north, from Sunderland and Hull or wherever, because they can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're lazy. It's just there's not that much work where they are, Labour is not mobile because of the housing.
Yeah, and actually, one of the reasons why we can't build more houses is because there aren't enough people to do them because
we haven't got enough immigration.
We haven't got enough immigration, and so it goes on. Anyway, best of luck with all that, Robert Jenrick and Rishi Sunak.